Even a really well-built house is going to have gaps and cracks and areas that air leakage is going to come, and you're going to lose your conditioned air. So the air that you're paying to heat, the air that you're paying to cool, you're going to lose that to the outside. Properly air sealing the building, there's a lot of different ways to look at that. So one of the main areas are various gaps and cracks throughout the building and sealing those up properly with a product that's going to allow it to expand and contract as that house settles.
You know, even though you might have a great insulation job, if you still have a lot of air infiltration coming into where the insulation is, it kind of defeats the purpose, because insulation is kind of like a large filter. In fact, a lot of filters are made from insulation. So really that's not going to stop air from getting into the house.
The system that we're using today is actually a two-part foam material. However, it's very safe, GreenGuard certified for indoor air quality. So very safe for the installers, very safe for the homeowners, and no off-gassing to worry about. One of the great things about that system is we're able to apply that directly to a crack or a gap or an opening where you're going to seal up for air leakage, but yet the product remains pliable, and you'll see it stays soft, so that if the expansion and contraction of the exterior sheathing expands and contracts at a different rate than the lumber that it's next to, it's able to maintain its integrity as an air holdout. One of the major areas in the building that leaks is the top of the house. The reason the top of the house leaks so much is because there's a crack running along the top plate of the partition walls that separate all the rooms within the house, and that crack meets the drywall. We want to have a product that seals up that area. Building science studies have shown that up to 40% of your air leakage goes to the top of the house. So it's one really critical area to seal. By using a product that can gasket to the top plate, when drywall gets applied to that top plate, it'll squash that gasket down and seal that area off. It's very difficult to seal that area from the top side after the drywall's been in, because you have the trusses and all the other things in the attic space and trying to get access to that going down.
That product that we used cuts down on those air infiltration points and seals the house so it's a tighter, more livable space. And you really only have one opportunity to do that. And that's why we kind of come in to do that as one of the very first steps of insulating a house.
Most of the home is ready for insulation, but we still have two more areas to focus on.
One of the other very critical areas to seal within a home is the band joist. The band joist that connects the basement to the floor, the first floor of the house, is a very leaky area. Want to make sure that we air seal in that area. It's probably the next most critical spot to hit. And also the band joist that separates the first floor from the second floor, another critical area to air seal. And then you're working to other areas within the house. In some of the larger gaps today, you'll notice that we're using a gun foam that is used for a fire blocking any penetrations that are vertical from floor to floor, from the basement to the floor. This is a code requirement in this market to have a fire blocking material, and a wider hole like that, we use a higher expansion can foam product.
When you say fire stop, we have a lot of plate penetrations, meaning that where you have pipes, duct work, low voltage wires and so forth, they come through the plates, which is basically the bottom piece of wood at the bottom or the top of the wall. And when a hole's penetrated from one floor to another, we have to come in and seal that. And what that does is that draft stops or prevents fire in case there was a fire in a lower floor from getting to another floor or another room. It's just one added safety precaution. You know, it's a very low cost item to do in a house, but yet it can save people's lives in the end.
We had done an air sealing of all the open joints and cracks and seals, any place where we might get any air infiltration from the exterior. So once that was all done and set in place, then we were able to come back and start installing our insulation into the wall cavities. So the product we're using is a formaldehyde-free batt insulation, which is very important. We don't want to have anything that's going to create any type of off gases or anything else down the line that can inherit the air quality of the home.
We had all the material delivered to the site, and our installers, will go through and seal up by putting insulation in all the open cavities of the walls and ceilings. We started off with prepping the eave vents with the proper vents, which are the styrofoam chutes that are at the eaves, because you want to have good airflow up into your attic spaces. If you don't, you can have possibilities of mold and mildew growing up in the attic, and nobody wants that. After we installed the proper vents up at the eaves, then we can kind of come in and start putting in the fiberglass batt insulation, which was called out for on this particular project, which you can kind of see behind me as it's in between the wall cavities. And in this case, we put in an R19 fiberglass batt because we had 2x6 wall construction for the majority of the house.
A house this size normally would take a contractor maybe 3 to 4 days to insulate. One of our challenges, we have high ceilings and vaulted ceilings. So there's an issue that we're dealing with scaffolding, things like that. So we'll add a little more lead time, but other than that, the home normally this size will be done in a shorter period of time, especially working with bats.
This house is going to be very tight, but all houses are now becoming mandated by the federal government, by the 2012 energy codes, and they keep upping the insulation requirements of the house, which is a good thing to do, truthfully, because it, helps us consume less fossil fuels. Also, in addition to that, makes the house comfortable. I mean, we want a comfortable house, and if we have a drafty, leaky house, then it's not as comfortable.
Visit the Built to Last website to learn about these topics and more.